Welcome to the Agape Podcast. I'm Bec, a passionate, sold-out lover of Jesus who accidentally started a Christian singles ministry, and now I want to help as many people as possible to find their husband or wife while being super healthy and full of hope. So get ready for some real, raw talk about all things singleness and dating. Hello everyone, and welcome to our next looking at me and laughing, our next podcast. I am here with the amazing Nick Chamberlain, who's looking very sexy right now, laying down on the couch. Hey,
just
honey.
Relaxing after a hard day at work.
He's looking a little.
I'm just laying here like this is going to be my therapy session.
Ready? Wait. He's here. I discovered these little sounds last time, so I'm wanting to use them. Anywho, you're looking at me so cute right now. Wait, then you looked away. It looked like I was lying. We are really excited to talk to you guys today about some stuff. But we have a few things that have happened in our life since we did our last podcast together, which would be good to talk about first. So we got a new bed. Which is probably the biggest thing.
We upgraded from a full
to a king.
If you're gonna get married, if you're getting married, get a king bed.
Yeah, just definitely don't get a full. Or if you're Aussie or not from America, that's equivalent to like a double bed. So like Nick had a double bed, a full bed, when he was single, and it is an amazing bed. It's like a pillow top. It's awesome. When he's not in it, I enjoy it so much. But when he's there, it's a mess. And
yeah,
so
she needs me in the back all night.
And he like has his hand on my head overnight and just like hanging like on my head, like he's holding the top of my head. And so there was a lot of, no, you have more room. No, you have more room. Get back to your side. Like, look, there's a whole inch over there. Move.
And so we bought a king bed, and there's so much space, that we decided to buy a dog.
Well, no, we're not up to that part yet. We're not up to that part yet. So, like, we were like struggling in this bed, and we were like, oh my gosh, we have to start a GoFundMe to get a bed because this thing sucks. Definitely don't recommend it. We were like siblings fighting, and then God infinitely came in and blessed us with a bed. Like, I found one online. It looked pretty much brand new, and when we went to see it, it was like brand new. And it was like, it had the box spring with it as well. It had the mattress, and it had the frame, and it was like $200. And the people actually go to the same church as us, which we didn't know until they delivered it, because they offered to deliver it. That was super sweet. They had 4 kids at home. Well, 3 kids and 1 on the way. And the lady like voluntold her husband. She was like, he'll drop it off. And he was totally up for it. And he had a truck, and he literally brought it to our house. And then turns out we go to the same church, which was awesome. So like we have this amazing testimony where I literally said to the Lord, please, Jesus, we need a mattress. Like we need a new bed. Like we can't keep doing this. So God infinitely blessed us. We literally put it together that night. And now we sleep so far apart. It's glorious. Like,
That sounds so bad.
I know, but it's true. This is one of those expectation versus reality things where you think it's going to be sweet to like snuggle overnight, but really you're like, get away from me.
You're too hot. I can't stand it.
Yeah. And he means sexy. No, Nick says I'm a little thermos, but you get hot around anything. Like he just boils up anyway. So like, yeah, you think you're going to, like, spend all night, like, oh, let's snuggle. But really, you're like, oh, my gosh, I need my space. I can't sleep when you're, like, twitching and moving, and he kicks in his sleep sometime. And I'm like, oh, so annoying. And at one point, we were even having to sleep top to tail. So he was, like, at my feet. His head was at my feet, which is super romantic. Not expectation. But
Just got to make it work. Anything to save the marriage.
Yeah, so we got that. And then I had always said, like, I don't want a dog until we have kids. Like, Nick had a dog before we got married, and I was really like, look, I'm just not ready for a dog. Like, I want to travel. There's so much that I want to do. And I just really felt like that wasn't the season that we were in. And then, long story short, Nick was going to find a place for his dog because he'd also been considering, like, giving him away for a while just because he was a little bit of a terror. He was really rough and hard.
He needed a family and people around him constantly and just a place to just run around all day. And I couldn't provide that for him.
Yeah. So, yeah, eventually he actually ran away and we never found him again. So, it was kind of like, I mean, we couldn't find somebody, we didn't find somebody, and then it was no longer an issue. So, anyway, long story short, we've been married for like 4.5 months now. And Nick waited till I was about to get my period, when I'm getting all like emotional and girly. He's like, hey, how about we go to the pound and just like have a look?
Look, I'm not that intuitive. Like, I don't...
Whatever, you 100% knew.
I do not know your cycle.
You knew it was coming up. You could have counted back. Oh, it's been about a month.
Yeah, because I keep track of things like that.
You would. And so we go down there, and I'm like, I'm not super emotional person in general. Nick's actually way more emotional than me. But, like, I see these dogs, and I kid you not, I started crying, didn't I, babe?
Yep.
And so I got all teary. And I was like, oh, it's just so sad. And then, and I was kind of preparing myself because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if he finds one that he likes? And we already had a conversation about it because it was all fun and games. We were like, oh, I'm just going to go see. And then Nick was like, but what if we likes one? And I was like, uh-oh, I really don't feel ready for a dog. So I spent a few days like processing. I was like, okay, if we find one, like, you know, and I had a few dreams that I really thought were from the Lord about, like, America being my home and, like, settling down roots. So I was like, okay, I feel like maybe, I don't want to be, like, just so uncomfortable with it that I'm not willing to grow and stretch and be, like, open to the idea. But I'm also like, oh, your life just changes significantly, and I don't know if I'm ready for that. And so, but then I also found, when we were at the pound, there was a point where Nick went to go and talk to somebody, and I was just with the dog by myself. I was like, oh, I think I'm just maybe, like, too used to being comfortable and being on my own and single and having freedom. Like, maybe it's time to lay some of that aside. And, like, this is just a little step, because one day we'll have kids and then life will be over. Just kidding. But definitely freedom will be different. And so, yeah, and then we saw this little dog, and originally, I saw this other dog that I was like, oh, it's so cute, I love him. And then he was all, like, lazy and dopey, and I was like, he's perfect, he'll just sleep in the corner. And then maybe we get to, like, play with him if we take him for a walk. And then literally they took him out of the kennel, and what was he like, babe?
He's like, he went from, like, 0 to 100.
Yeah, we were like, ugh.
Yeah, he was crazy.
He was crazy. He pooed right next to me as well. So they bring him in the room, and he literally, like, takes a dump right next to me. And they're like, whoops.
Which is actually a really good sign, because it means, like, his home, his kennel, he sees that as, like, his place, and he's not doing his business there, so he waits till he's out of his kennel to do his business, which is actually a really good sign.
I took it as a bad sign.
But that couldn't handle it. And
No, I could handle it, but I was still, like, into him until they started telling us, like, oh yeah, he doesn't get along well with other dogs. He's been in dog fights. Like, you can't take him to the dog park. I'm like, oh my gosh, this dog sounds terrible. And so then we brought in another dog, and then that one was all, like, just crazy. And then we asked him about another one. They're like, oh yeah, and it was like 10 years old, and it was like kind of slower as well. And like, oh yeah, he has been in dog fights too.
Well, they just said he's like an old man, so he's grumpy.
Yeah. We're like, perfect, just what we need. So then Nick was like, I really think we should look at this little puppy. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I was thinking he wasn't a puppy because he's pretty big already. And I was like, we cannot have a big dog in the house. But anyway, we saw this little dog, this little guy, and he was shaking. He was so scared. And I was like, he's so scared. And Nick's like, well, think about being like 16 years old and being in like a prison with all these like hardened criminal older men. That's probably how he felt. So like he was shaking. And then we sat down and he just came to us and like put his head on our tummies and like snuggled with us. and was just so cute, wasn't he, babe?
Yeah, he adopted us.
He adopted us. He was so gorgeous. Like, I could tell we didn't have to worry about him running out the door. Or the other 2 dogs we, like, tried, we were really scared that they would run out the door if we opened it. But with him, we opened the door and he didn't want to leave. He was like, please don't send me back. And so he kind of won my heart a little bit. I was like, oh, I want to cry just thinking about him. He was so cute. Well, actually, I didn't know if he was cute at first. He's kind of a little bit differently abled. He has no tail, which is fine, but he has this, like, munted earlobe, which, like, can only sit either straight up or on top of his head. His ear doesn't go to its side, which I thought was kind of cute. And it's on the same side that Nick's arm, like, doesn't work. Okay, your arm does work, but Nick hurt his arm. So I was like, it's like a sign.
It's a braver healing over my left shoulder. That'd be great.
Yeah. Instead of laughing about it, we'll pray. But, yeah, so then we were like, okay, and I was like, Nick, and how much do you want this on a scale of 1 to 10? And he's like a 6. I was like, why only a 6 or 7? No, 6 or 7. I was like, why only a 6 or 7? He's like, because you are more important, and if you don't want a dog, we will not get a dog. And I was like, no, say I'm on board and I want it. Like, how bad out of 10 do you want this dog? And he's like, 10. I'm like, okay, we have to get the dog. So, still don't know how it's going to go. I haven't lived with a dog since I've been an adult. Dogs weren't really a part of my family or my life, but they're a big part of Nick's life. It's like his love language. He loves dogs like he loves children, or I guess he would love his children. So it's a bit more of a sacrifice for me with, like, the house and everything like that I'm worried about. But I know it'll be good in the long run, but also really out of my comfort zone. So just going to kind of get used to it. I don't like things jumping on me, being on the furniture, like, shedding everywhere. It's just, like, more uncomfortable. Then, like, I don't like it. So we're going to get little Jack, which is his name, which would be perfect. We were going to go with Jack, but Jack is so cute. He can be Jack when he's in trouble and Jack when we're being all affectionate. So we're excited about that. And I have officially accepted an invitation, or I guess a request to do 3rd year at BSSM, which I'm really excited about. I had to go through 2 rounds of interviews with this company and actually do a project over 2 days. They gave me 2 days to do a 3-part project, which is actually pretty in-depth and very much outside my wheelhouse. But they were really impressed, and they were like, hey, we want you to do 3rd year with us. And of everybody that applied, they only took 2 people, so it was pretty big. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'll be starting that in September. And
I just started a new job.
Nick just started a new job as well. Do you want to tell them any more about that? Super exciting.
It's not really. It's it's just maintenance. It's just my wheelhouse of fixing things. So it's something new every day.
Yeah.
But it's a growing company. So the prospect of growing with this company is really high.
Yeah.
And they really seem to like me. So, yeah.
Oh, who wouldn't like you?
We'll see how it goes.
You're such a cutie pie. And our website updates, getting closer and closer to being at least available for the beta stage, which we're really excited about. It is getting closer to having, like, the features done, and I have hired a developer who is currently working on it and just checking in with me at the moment, which I'm really excited about. And we've launched social media, so we are now on Facebook and Instagram. Just started out, so literally I think it was like a couple days ago that we made it, like, all official, that now we're on Facebook and Instagram. So that's really exciting too, just to really start to spread the word about what we're doing. And I'm just really excited for people who, you know, are single, love Jesus, spirit-filled, and they want to find their spouse, that they can actually have a place to do that. And that's the people that we really want to serve. And now they have a place to find us and find out the message and find out what we're doing for the kingdom. So I'm just excited. Oh, yes. And why don't you share, babe?
I'm going to be starting to coach single men. Mm-hmm. Just kind of helping them be the best version of themselves. As they're starting to date, while they're dating, or just wherever they're at in life. Whatever that looks like, whatever they feel they need help on. If I can help them, just going to coach them through it.
Yeah. And that's something actually Nick's really good at, is like walking with men. Like even when we were friends, I was like, man, he like loves men so well. That sounds weird, but like he loves people so well. But like really, like he's been part of like men's groups and has led men's retreats with like 200 people in them. Like just really has a heart for men and seeing men live healthy and free and whole, and also to do dating really well. And so I just feel like it's so necessary, because like as a woman, sometimes I've come across men who I'm like, oh man, it would be great for you just to have a little bit of feedback on how you're going about dating, or have a guy walking with you to really help you through and navigate this process, because what you're doing isn't quite serving you. And so it's not my place to say, but you could use some help. And there's some people who are just like, no matter what I do, I can't find a date, or, I'm really struggling with identity, or rejection is like this big thing for me. And I've seen Nick just come in, even with our friends, and just love on them, but really lead them into truth and instill identity and ask really good questions and really just mentor them through it. And they have grown so much from it, which is really exciting. He's even taken them clothes shopping, because he loves shopping. This is how we are very different. Nick loves to shop. I'm done about an hour and a half. I'm like over it. I hate it.
I'm just hitting my stride.
Yeah, he's just like, woohoo, clothing. And he'll be the one who'll spend like $200 in like one store on like 3 items of clothing. No, not 3, like 5. And I'll be the one like 3 days into like a shopping holiday. Which, I mean, we did still have most of it left, because I'm thinking about potentially putting it towards my car registration. And then Nick tells me I have to spend it on clothes. I can't spend on practical things. So, like, we're just very different in that area. But, like, yeah, he's even taken people, like, guys clothes shopping. And actually, like, the last friend of ours that he did it with was, like, it was like a night and day transformation. This guy, well, you can tell them.
Yeah.
What did he go from?
He just went from wearing, like, basketball shorts and ratty shirts, like basically gym clothes all the time.
Yeah, wasn't doing much for him.
Yeah, we just dressed him up a bit and gave him some confidence.
It was still casual. It wasn't like dressed up.
But it was, for him, it was dressed up.
Yeah.
And
he got very good reviews.
He got very
feedback.
Good,
Feedback.
He got very good feedback, but also, he told us it's been 6 years since he's gone to a mall and went shopping for new clothes.
Really? I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, hopefully there was some healing in his heart there. I haven't been able to talk to him about, like, hey, why do you think it's been 6 years since you've, like, done this for yourself?
Yeah.
And just got some nice clothes. But,
Yeah.
But, yeah. But it was a lot of fun, and he had a lot of fun, and I hope there was a lot of healing.
Yeah. And I started coaching as well, and it's been super good. I've been coaching 2 girls for the last, I think, 2 months. Yeah. So every week we meet, and just the breakthrough. Like, I'm so excited to interview them if they're open to it at the end, because even like I think about 6 weeks in. Oh, just like night and day from where they came. Just so much breakthrough, so much freedom. They went from not having dates or really having guys notice them to, oh my gosh, being asked out, going on dates, being approached. Like, it was really cool. One of them even got approached by 2 guys in 1 week, and they weren't Christians, so obviously it was different context. But like, yeah, like, hey, do you want to hang out? I'm like, wow. It's like when there's intentionality and you actually start going after something and you're intentional about it. So like, I found doing courses or getting coaching, when people do that, it actually opens something in the spirit realm. And like, it's like moth to a flame. All of a sudden everyone knows you're available and they're coming for you. And so it's been really cool to see how they have grown. And I've just really loved walking beside them through it and celebrating with them and getting excited with them, but also, really just giving them the wisdom of God in their relationships, and we've just seen so much fruit. It's been really incredible. So yeah, that's kind of what we've been up to. It's been super fun. We get our puppy in 2 weeks. We didn't say, but he still needs to have all his shots and everything because he's only 4 months old. So we get to go pick him up, but we're going to go see him on Wednesday just to go and say howdy. Because Nick's like, I miss him already. Can we go back? Which is super cute. And yeah, so that's really cool. But today we wanted to talk about expectations in marriage versus reality. And that could be like good things. That could be like hard things. And I've been thinking about this all day. And I've come up with quite a few. I don't know if Nick has, because
I've been thinking about this for, an hour?
Since I told him this is what we're going to talk on. So I think one of the funny ones that I found was, I expected when I got married to have a really clean house. I think the part that I wasn't so much expecting was that the fact that I would have to clean the house as much to get it to be really clean. Like, you're always like, in my fantasy, like, it just looks so perfect. And then you get married and then like, the dishes are actually yours, which I don't know. Obviously that's so obvious, but like, it's not something that I was super thinking about when I was dreaming about what it would be like to be married. And I was like, I have to do the dishes and I have to clean the house and I have to scrub the toilet if I want the toilet to be clean and I want the dishes to be done.
Yeah. Or, I mean, to go just a little deeper, like the work you have to put in to have a good marriage. Like, we want to thrive, we want to be successful, and we want to, hear each other's hearts and know each other's feelings. Wow, that actually takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I think the first 2 months of our marriage, we had quite a hard time with that.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know how much work it would actually be.
That's really true.
And it is like maintaining a home, it is like sweeping and mopping and doing the dishes and cleaning the toilet and doing all the things. I'd rather be doing something a lot more fun right now.
Yeah.
But I have to be an adult. I have to get this stuff done. And it's the same in our marriage. It's the same in the emotional stability of our marriage, the spiritual stability of our marriage. Like, it takes work. It takes putting in the effort.
Yeah, that's really true. And so I would say the expectation was, we're going to get along so well. We're going to be like best friends and we're going to spend every day together and we're going to play cards and hang out and just have like the best marriage because we're going to be open about everything.
And our marriage coaches, they'll just, if we have a problem, they'll fix it for us and we'll be good. Just like we think like, we'll hire a maid or somebody to clean our house.
Yeah.
But we really don't have the money for that.
Yeah, that's the goal. I'm like, I don't care. Like, yes, I want a house one day and like, a boat maybe. But the first thing I want is a maid. Because not even a maid, just like a broke student that we can pay to clean the toilet so I don't have to. If I'm getting real, it's just the one thing I just hate to clean. But anyway, I think that would be the expectation. Like, we have all these tools. We're going to be so good at this. And then reality is actually a lot more like, wow, this is so much harder work. Like, this is like an everyday choice to connect, an everyday choice to like check in with each other. And we have a daily check-in that we do where we ask each other questions to like check in of like, how's your heart? Is there anything we need to bring up just so things don't fester? Because we were finding, especially in the first 2 months, we were not in sync at all. And,
we were just I think we were just trying to sweep things under the rug.
Yeah, but like, we're happy, it's all good. And then it just would like come out in really weird ways and we were like, oh, that sucked.
Because I don't know, I think we were programmed by society and movies and even some Christian culture where it's like everything is perfect. Everything is awesome. Like there's nothing wrong, And that's just like not the case. You're taking especially I think when you're in your 30s, you've lived so long just by yourself.
Yeah.
And you've learned certain ways to live and operate. And here enters this brand new person into your life. and you have to learn how to bring them into your process, and also be willing to lay down things.
Yeah.
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 I mean, that's what I've learned.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, we had all the tools and everything, and we were like, you know, it's like everyone's like, oh, it's such a magical time, the first year of marriage, and then we got married, and everyone's like, first year's the hardest. We're like, thanks. I feel like you could have set us up a little bit more with like a realistic view before we got married. But yeah, it's definitely been a lot more working on communication than I thought. I think another expectation I had too was that, like, oh, we'll be having sex all the time. Like, I remember when we did premarital counseling, you know, I was like 30, and I remember just always saying, like, the Bible says if you're burning with passion to, like, get married. I was like, I'm burning. My loins are burning. I'm ready. Like, you know, and so we did premarital, and they're like, how often do you want to have sex? You know, and I think, Nick, I don't know what you said. I think you said like 3 to 4 times a week or something. And I was like 7 days every week, every day. Like, I was very excited about the prospect of that. But then, like, and I honestly thought that would be like a real thing. And then, and I also would often fantasize about, like, you know, husband coming home, you're waiting in like lingerie, and you're like, hey, sexy time. You know, that's always what I thought marriage would be like for me. And then Nick's looking at me like, why isn't it?
Yeah. Why hasn't that happened? That's one of my fantasies too.
And here's a plate of nachos while I'm in my lingerie. But yeah, but like, just like real life comes in. So you think like, oh, we have sex all the time, and you're like, well, you're tired, or you've got life stuff going on. You know, it just doesn't happen that easily or quickly or as much as you would think, because then by the time you know it, you're like, oh, it's been like a couple of days. Whoops. Or, oh, okay, Nick gets off work, but I'm like somewhere else working, or I've got stuff going on, and you just don't think about it, you know, as much. And, or you expect, I remember one of our friends said, like, my expectation was when I got married, you know, we would have sex, and then we would cuddle, and we would fall asleep like that. And that's what I always thought too. But it's really like, well, it happens, and then you're like, cool, now I got to shower. You know, fix myself up a bit. Then I might like go and do a little bit of something, like, I don't know, around the house. And then he goes to bed before me, and then we kiss goodnight, and then he goes to bed, and I go to bed a little bit later. Because I've been reading or something, because he goes to bed pretty early now. Because he has to get up at 5 a.m. So all of those things were just so different. Like, but they're really good too. Like, I think also with sex, I thought it would be like this cool, like, feel super great, super awesome time together, which it is. But I actually think that was the expectation. I think my expectation was actually pretty, like, underwhelming, or like less than how good it actually is, because I think the way the movies portray it, it's all about the destination, like getting to that moment. But actually, when you're in covenant, it's about the journey. And so, like, actually just being together and, like, having intimacy and really just enjoying, like, having fun and kisses and cuddles and doing all this stuff becomes, like, the better part of it. And like, I didn't expect that. I thought it was just going to be, like, hot and passionate and, like, straight to things, which is great. But that's kind of how the shows show it. But actually less about, like, the intimacy and like, oh, the oneness and being together. I also didn't expect to be able to do frisky things as much. I think that was less of an expectation. Like, Nick's looking at me like, what are you talking about? I thought it would just be like, you know, once a day you might have sex. But I didn't expect to, like, have little touches throughout the day, or, like, little, like, romps on the couch. This isn't too much.
People coming over, like, we're never sitting on their couch.
Yeah, don't sit on our couch. It's we're joking.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
We're joking, kind of. But yeah, I honestly didn't expect that. Like, I just didn't think that was something that's been a lot better than my expectations. Sexually, is like, oh, it's actually a lot more fun than I thought. It's not just like isolated to this, like, one time of the day where you are, like, intimate in that way. It can be, like, little fun things throughout the day, you know, and I didn't think we'd be as adventurous as we have been in that area. Not to go into too much detail, but Well, how much should I say?
I think we're good.
We're good. Okay. So, yeah, Nick loves my adventurous side. Let's just say that. But yeah, so like I wasn't expecting that kind of stuff either. So I think that far exceeded my expectations, actually. I was like thinking it would be a lot more just, you know, a short moment every day, but actually having that intimacy and like journey through things and like doing things different parts of the day too, I think would be really fun. You agree?
I totally.
They can't see your thumbs up to me. He's just like thumbs up. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, it's voice.
Verbal communications.
Yeah. Think of it like radio, babe. If you need something, a frame of reference. How about you? Was there things that you like had expectations and the realities being different, either in a positive or as a like, oh, actually, I wasn't expecting this?
Yeah, I think. I think just, you know, I think we both felt like, oh, we've both had sex before, so we'll be great and fantastic at this, and it won't be clunky, it won't be
awkward,
mm-hmm. And it totally was.
Yeah. In a great way.
In a fun, awesome way. But it was awkward. It was clunky, and just like working on your marriage, it takes practice.
A lot of practice.
Yeah. Which is a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you have a bigger bed because you have a lot more room. When it's a little bed, you can't move much.
Yeah.
Seriously, guys, don't get a full. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. Nick's like too embarrassed.
Single for a while.
Yeah.
Then it's cool.
Yeah, but if you're married, don't do it.
Yeah, it's not worth
it. Just if you're single, just invest in a queen. If you know you're gonna stay, like, well, I guess you can't really know you're gonna stay.
Dating, just invest in a queen.
Yeah, because it'll just help you. It'll just help you in the long run. And Nick paid like what, over $1,000 for this really plush mattress too, and now we have to sell it, which is so sad. But yeah. There's no way that thing was fitting us. I'm like, I have Nick's like feet next to my face when I turn overnight. Super cute.
I used to be really scared that I was gonna, like, when we were sleeping feet to head, that I was gonna fart. And like, it just goes straight to your face. I was always so scared of that.
Really? It just like ripples through the covers straight up my nose. Oh, I'd be so annoyed.
Oh, I didn't think there'd be hell to pay for that.
I'd come and sit on you and be like, ha, and then fight back. Wait, yeah, that's one thing I didn't expect. So I thought I'd be like, I don't know if I thought I'd be proper, but I thought I'd be like more concerned with how I look in marriage. Like, oh, he'll wake up and I'll be like putting makeup on to make sure I look my best. I'm like, nah, I'm not concerned about that at all.
Well, the problem is I'm always up before you pretty much do.
I know, but like, even when you come home, like, I'm very much like, no makeup, like, no bra sometimes, like.
I don't wear foundation.
Yeah, but you love it. Like, you love me for who I am. Yes. And you always call me beautiful and tell me how amazing I am and how much, like, you love me and are dedicated to me. I'm the only woman for you, like, all that kind of stuff. And so I just don't feel the need to, like, dress up or, like, try and be cute and, like, look good for you, like, all the time. Like, obviously there's a time for that, but I don't feel like a pressure day to day, like, just normal life, hanging out at home to, like, be different or, like, be super toned or, you know what I mean? Like, there's an unconditional love that I don't think I've ever experienced before where I'm like, oh, I don't have to change. I don't have to, like, work so hard, like, to get abs for you to love me.
We're married, so we're just getting fat and happy.
Well, it's no, I break that up. We're still going to be fit and active, but it's just like he's playing the drums on his tummy. You know, there's just a sense of, oh, I don't have to work so hard. Like, I don't have to, like, think. I always thought, like, oh, I would meet my husband in, like, my peak ultimate shape. And I have to look that way to attract him. And it's like, actually, no, you just, like, loved me because you saw who I was. And even now, I'd be like, oh, what about this, what about that? And you'd be like, I love you. Like, just stop stressing. You don't have to, like, look a certain way. I love you for you. And that doesn't mean I'm going to like let myself go, but it just really means that I don't have to feel like super pressured to like always have it on and I just never thought I would feel that kind of like unconditional, you're amazing, you're beautiful kind of thing, you know, which is really, really amazing. And even just to feel it for you too, being like, oh, you can wear whatever. Oftentimes you're not wearing anything, but
it's not true. I like wearing gym shorts in the house.
Yeah. And I have really taken to wearing Nick's boxers to bed. He hates it. That's the one thing I think you don't like me wearing because you don't think I look sexy in it. But like that's the other thing. Like I thought I'd be wearing these like slinky little numbers to bed, but I'm like, I'm comfortable in your boxer shorts, and they have this little flap, guys. It's like so convenient, like airy.
Convenient for what?
Airy.
It's supposed to be convenient for me, not you.
Well, I don't know. It's like wearing bike shorts. But I don't really have bike shorts to wear to bed, so I wear his underwear, and then he doesn't like it. And then we have this kind of discussion every time, and then he's like, babe, I'm running out of underwear. And I'm like, well, you can have the pair that I wear. And he's like, oh, it's gross. And then one time I ended up with two of them because they're the same color. So,
poor thing. I have to put like a lock on my dresser that like has my underwear in it.
They're so comfortable though. And then I wear like a big oversized shirt, which I thought I was going to wear these little slinky numbers, but it really hasn't been like that.
No.
You haven't said anything really about it either, except for the me wearing your underwear.
Yeah. It's not my favorite.
It's alright, you'll learn to love it. And so, what else?
I should just be like, I'm going to start wearing your underwear to bed. That's just going to be awkward for everybody.
That's awkward and gross, and you'll just stretch it out. Then we'll be spending all this money on me getting new underwear because I have to have it, and you wouldn't want that now, would you? What?
My new underwear is coming out of your tool budget.
You stretch it, you buy it. I think also another thing was like cooking. I thought we would like cook together every night and it would be like super romantic. Oh, and then we go for walks after dinner. And sometimes we go for walks, but I think really realistically Nick probably cooks. Oh, I think now it's kind of changed.
It's evening out.
Yeah, it's evening out. And
in the beginning, I probably cooked like 90% of the meal.
Yeah, because you'd be like, what do you want for dinner? And then I'm like, oh, he's sorting it out. I was a kept woman, but I was like, well, he's working all day. It's not fair if he's cooking dinner. And it just kind of happened naturally because you kind of took over in that area. Not like in a bad way, but just like, hey, what do you want? I'll make it, which was beautiful. But I was like, I need to step up a little bit. Nick would come home and be like, hey, what do you want for dinner? I'm like, I've already eaten. What do you want? You can go make it. So that was one thing. It didn't come as easily being a wife, and like cooking for someone else and just like thinking of that stuff. And I'm not even cooking for him because I'm like the wife, but I'm home because I can't work. So, and he's out working all day. So it just makes sense. I think if we both had a job, we would have a more equal division of labor. But at the moment I have the time. It's not fair if he is, up at 5 to go to work and works all day and comes home and then still has to cook and clean. No. So.
Amen. End of podcast. We can just stop there. That's a victory.
Oh my gosh. Are you getting a little excited because I said that? Yeah. But yeah, so that I thought would come a lot more naturally and it didn't. Oh, also I had an expectation that the moment we got married, like there'd be like a cosmic shift and I would feel like we were one flesh and like, oh, this is my partner for life. But I can honestly say like 4.5 months in now, it's still taking me a little bit of time to adjust to it. Like, I know it in my head, but it wasn't like this wham moment where I was like, I'm no longer the person I was like 5 minutes before this ceremony. I've spoken to quite a few married people who said the exact same thing. Like, it actually took them time to like really ease into being like a wife and, like different roles and actually to feel married. Like, if somebody asked me in the first 2 months of, maybe even 2.5 months of us being married, are you married? I probably would have been like, oh no, I'm single. Oh wait, no, I'm not, I'm married. I was so used to being single for so long. It would just be like my knee-jerk reaction. I'd be like, wait, no, I am married. Sorry, that was misinformation. It just didn't come as easily to like know it. Were you going to say something?
No.
Oh, you look like you're gearing up to something.
Just listening and watching you.
Did you feel like, see, it's nice because we're not sitting next to each other, so I'm not like slapping you in the face with my gestures, with my hand gestures. Yeah.
People can't see us.
No. Would you say, was it like a switch for you, or did it take more time?
I think what took time for me was the process of dying to my singleness and what it meant to be a husband again. What it meant to have my own things, but to also live for somebody else and to put somebody else before my own needs. One of the things I wasn't good at was like communicating, hey, I'm going to hang out with this person. Mm-hmm. I would just like go and do it. And I could be like, where are you? Oh, I'm out with so-and-so. She's like, you didn't tell me that. I didn't know I had to.
I don't think that's quite how it went. I think it was more the other way.
What do you mean?
Like, oh, I made plans. Like, oh, you didn't tell me about. Like, I think this has happened both ways, but.
Right. So,
but it wasn't like you can't do it. It's just like, oh, I didn't realize wouldn't be here for dinner,
right,
or you wouldn't be here for me to cook.
It wasn't that I couldn't do it. It was the fact that like
I just didn't know if like I needed to cook for you or not, or like what you're doing.
Right, and so it was for both of us just learning how to communicate like our plans and what we were doing, and learning how to put someone else above yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I expected to get married and still keep living my life, which now seems silly. But like I was like, oh yeah, we'll be together and we'll live together. But like I'll go and do my stuff and you'll do your stuff, and we'll do stuff together. And then to be married and be like, hey babe, like haven't seen you much lately. Yeah, like okay, or. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go meet with these people. I'm going to do this and going to do this. I'd be like, hey, it'd be great if we talked about that before you just made these plans, because I actually want to see you this weekend. I didn't expect to have to take into consideration somebody else's plans, feelings, which, I mean, I should have. I just didn't really understand the full depth of what that was like. So now I will send Nick a message, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, are you cool if I go and hang out with this person on this day? And, like, 9 times out of 10, it's always cool with both of us. Unless, usually it's just to, like, let the other person know as a courtesy. Right. Or if, like, oh, hey, did you forget that we had this on? And you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, cool. I won't do that. Or, actually, I'd really love a night with you. Sorry, I just stabbed you with my nail. I moved my hand and I accidentally stabbed Nick in the head with my fingernail. It's actually pretty pointy. I'm sorry.
After you just got done saying, oh, yeah, my hands aren't in your face.
They're not in your face. They're just stabbing you on the side of the face. It's different. Semantics, babe. It's all semantics. So, yeah, that was something that I didn't really anticipate as much. I didn't anticipate having to think like, oh, what am I going to cook for dinner? Because I feel like when it was just me, I would have things to cook and I ate pretty healthy. But if I was, like, busy, I would often just, like, make myself something small and quick. Like, I could have oats, oats for dinner, and it wouldn't, like, be a problem. But, like, he's not going to eat oats for dinner. You're looking at me like, don't you even try. So I'm like, well, okay, I got to get something else. And it's just prepping and, like, thinking ahead of time, okay, what would Nick want to eat? Or going to the grocery store and being like, okay, what would he like to get? And I also thought, I think another expectation I had was, like, oh, money will be easy. Handling money will not be hard. I've handled it for a while, like for myself, my whole life pretty much, and been really good at it. I have savings, like, I have an amazing credit rating, which I didn't even know we had credit ratings in Australia until I had to find it, to come to America. Or like, somebody asked me here, and I was like, I don't even think we have them. And then, I got it, and I was like, oh, it's like high, like really, really, really high, which I didn't realize. And so I didn't expect to really have any problems with finances. I'm just like, yeah, we spend money on what we spend money on. But actually having to be like, what do we prioritize? And then, if I find something, like if Nick wants to do something that I see no value in, then it's a conversation rather than like, oh yeah, you go do it. Or if I want to do something that Nick doesn't see value in, they were like, okay, now we're going to talk about it. Sometimes we got to fight about it, fight through. Like, actually, that's a dumb thing to spend money on. Oh, but I really feel like, this is what we should do. Or, oh, I really want this thing. And then I think it's definitely gotten better as time has gone by. First 2 months was rough because we just saw things so differently. And honestly, now looking back, we're probably just really selfish because we just kind of wanted what we wanted.
We wanted to be married. We wanted the benefits of marriage, but we wanted our lives to kind of stay the same.
Yeah, we wanted to like be single but married at the same time. Like, as in, we wouldn't have said that, but now looking back, that's kind of the mentality that we had. It was like, oh, I'm still going to spend my money on what I want, and
we wanted to be independent instead of interdependent.
Yeah. So not codependent, but interdependent. So like now it's better because we're kind of like, hey, here's a budget. We're more like a team. So we decided, okay, what would it be to be more like a team? So we started doing some Dave Ramsey things and budgeting out and putting money aside together and discussing like how much do we want to put aside and how we're going to pay certain bills. And that just made it a lot more like we're on the same team than just one person doing everything. And I think that's been really helpful. And it doesn't feel like, oh, Nick's working and I'm not at the moment. But he feels like this not burden, but like this responsibility to provide for me, which I think is incredible. But also it doesn't hold over my head like, hey, I'm the one working. You're not. You can't buy things, So I think that's been really good too.
Yeah. Thank you. It's awesome.
You're welcome, honey bun. Yeah, I do. It's always like, what are we going to spend money on? Actually, the other day, this is a funny little story. So I don't spend money on myself often. I don't really buy clothes, and I don't really buy like indulgences. Like I spend money more on like business stuff because I find that probably have a bigger return on investment, to be honest. And so I'm like, that's something worth sowing into, like dreams, future goals. Anyway, and so we went to Costco like yesterday, day before, and I really needed new socks, and I found this pack of socks for like $15, and I was like, oh, I'm sure they're really good, but I don't need them. It's fine. Like I'd already bought something else that I really wanted that was also an extravagance, which was like $30, and I was like, it's too much to get socks as well. Not that we didn't have it, it just was like, I felt like that was too much for the moment. Anyway, we get to the checkout, and we check out, and I'm like, wait, this is more than what we thought it was going to be. That makes no sense. And so I start looking at the ticket, the receipt, and I see that there's socks on there. And I'm like, Nick put some socks in there for himself. And I was getting ready to be like, babe, what did you get socks for? You don't even need them, etc., etc. And I was like, this has socks on it. He's like, yes, they do. And he's like all smirky. I'm like, what'd you do? I was like, you got socks? And then he pulls out the ladies' socks that I really wanted, and he had snuck them into the cart, and was very proud of himself.
And I had to sneak him into the cart because if she would have saw him, she would have said no. But it's socks, right? But she bought me underwear. I bought her socks. Super romantic.
Yeah. He wanted new underwear, and I was like, of course, if you need that.
But it's the little things like that. That it's like just the little things like that means so much in a relationship.
Yeah. It was super romantic. My feet were so snug this morning when we went for a run. Every time I put them on, I'm like, oh, Nick, oh, baby, love you. Yeah, that was a romantic gesture. How about you? Do you have?
I'd rather you wear those to bed than I have.
I'm sure you would. I want to see you in bed wearing only this. Gosh, wouldn't that be funny? I would freeze. We have the aircon on, so cold. Like I have blankets on. Nick is like boiling. I have a blanket on because I'm so cold overnight. Like not just a sheet, but I've actually brought a blanket into the room, which is really funny. Babe, do you have anything else what's an expectation I want just one that you had maybe. And then what was the reality?
I think my expectation was, I've been married once before, and I made mistakes, but I've really worked on my heart, and it'll just be easy this time. I've already been married, I've worked on my heart, I've gotten healing, and this will just be easy. And like, but Bec's a totally different person than my ex-wife. And there are completely different dynamics that weren't in my last marriage. And there has been stuff that's come up in my heart that wasn't ready to come up until we were married. You know, and just more layers of healing. I think that that's the biggest expectation I had, was like, I've already done this. I've gotten a lot of healing over my last marriage. I will be a pro at this. Like, this will just be cakewalk. And
Cakewalk? Does that mean easy?
It's an American term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like walking on cakes. Is walking on cake supposed to be really easy?
I don't know. It's just a term.
It's a cake? Yeah, that makes no sense to me. I think walking on cakes would actually be really hard. So, like, it's a cakewalk would be like, oh, this is a really difficult thing to do.
Okay.
Because, like, it would be all smushy. Okay, sorry. But it'd be so smushy. Like, I don't feel like that would be easy at all. Anyway, keep going.
Yeah. So, after that tangent, but I think that's just my biggest expectation, which was completely blown out of the water. You know? And I'm really glad that I got that expectation out of the way. I'm really glad that that we're both fighting for healing, and that there's healing happening in both of us. You know, that could only come up in marriage. You know, the frustrations and the hurts that could only come up in marriage, and the healing that can only come up in marriage. Like, somebody a lot wiser than me said that marriage isn't meant to make you happy, it's meant to make you holy. You know, and we get holy by the process of sanctification, of just going through our stuff and coming closer and closer to Christ and closer to one another every day. And I think that's just the process of oneness, which is what we're going after, which is what we're fighting for every day, which is what we're learning to be.
Yeah, that's really good. I think one last expectation versus reality that I'm going to leave it on was that I expected to like being married. Like, I really expected to enjoy it. And I think the reality was I love it so much more than I thought I was going to like it. Like, you were wondering where this was going to go.
Well, let's unpack that a little bit. I don't understand.
Yeah, so I think I didn't expect to feel like so like safe and cared for and like protected and like covered. Like, I thought it would just be like, oh yeah, it's like marrying my best friend. Like, I can spend all this time with you, which is great. But like, I didn't expect to like even though it's so hard, people are like, you're so joyful. Like, I love being married, and like, wow, everything you've just told me sounds like it's been like one of the like, this is so intense and tough. I'm like, I know, it's so great, hey? What is happening?
Well,
I feel like, if I can just keep going.
Even when it's not great, it's so worth it.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, like, it's like how people talk about kids. You know, like, oh, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, but so worth it. I never really understood what they meant, because I'm like, it doesn't seem worth it when I'm watching you and your kids are, like, really intense. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. But they're like, it's so worth it. I'm like, is it though? Like, because we don't have kids, so it's hard to, like, understand how worth it is.
Yeah. Well, like, I've never ran a marathon. I don't understand the desire for people to run a marathon. And, you know, like, I hate running. And so, you know, to run 26 miles or whatever it is, like, but for the people that do it, like, they love it. And, you know, it starts with that. It starts with the first step in the marathon, and they just keep going and going and going. And although there's, you know, you hit certain miles and it's a grind and it's hard and you maybe want to give up, you choose to push through that because you know what's at the finish line. And I mean, and that's why it's so worth it. Like, we, like, you know, choose to keep pushing, you know, through that mile because we know what we're going after.
Yeah.
And like, we know the victory that God has for us.
Yeah. And I also think we know the call in our lives is to help people find their partner, find their spouse, find their husband or wife, and help them to do it in a really awesome, godly, holy way, healthy way. And I think part of the reason we're going through everything that we're going through is that we are really going to be able to love people through this process even better because we've had to fight so hard for it for each other. And I also think part of it was also spiritual attack. Like, we were just, you're at your most vulnerable when you're a baby. And so our relationship was like a baby. It was the best time to come against it for the enemy. And so, yeah, we just really just had to fight, not for flesh and blood, but the powers and the principalities as well. That played a part in it. It wasn't the entire thing. A lot of it was us as well. But yeah, I think I just want to ask you one last thing and then we'll call it a day. But what would you say was your expectation around me having my period while we're married, and what was the reality? You look scared. Troubled and scared. You can say.
Well, I mean, it got me a dog, so no. No, it's just that there's gonna be a few days where it's a bit rough, and
I'm not really that emotional usually.
That's a lie.
No, I'm not usually.
Crying at like just random parts of movies.
No, because before we met, I was never like this. Like, I did not cry that much. Like, you cry more than I do, more than I ever have, probably. But like,
it's just because I'm in tune with my emotions.
That's true. You are. You're very in tune with. I am in tune with my emotions. I just express them differently. But yeah, keep going. Sorry, I butted in. I just had to defend my honor.
I just think it's like, these are gonna be some days where I really need to show her grace. And these are gonna be some days where she really needs to show me some grace. And and I think one of the things that I feel really confident in, like when Bec is on her period, is like, hey, I don't really I can wait.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have to, like, if we don't have to have sex. We don't have to do anything if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable enough with myself and my sexuality and who I am to wait. Like, and
also, you think it's icky. That helps.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, like I don't have to, like I don't turn to porn. I don't turn to masturbation.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good area where Bec really trusts me,
mm-hmm.
and where it's like, oh, like if it's that time of the month and she's not really feeling, like she wants to do anything, like it's okay to say no. He's not going to turn to something else to try to find it.
Yeah. And when I said you think it's icky, I meant like having sex while having your period. I know. No. I'm saying for everybody else, like, have periods in general, you don't think is like, but like when there's blood.
No, I don't think it's sexy.
No. No, but like you don't think it's like gross. Yeah, is what I'm saying. Like, oh, okay. So there is somebody at the door, so we're gonna wrap this baby up.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for
ramble for an hour.
Thanks for making it this far. We were like, this one would be a shorter one, and then obviously we start talking and we join each other so much that it just kind of takes over. So, they're knocking louder. All right, guys, we love you. Bye.